In this video, I'm going to be showing you 5 different ways to get your FPS from this to this. If this video does end up helping you, make sure you guys leave a like and also subscribe. Enjoy the video. Yo guys, what is up? It is CJ or Sorable bringing this video on my channel once again. Now in today's Krunker video, I'm going to be showing you 5 easy ways to increase your FPS in Krunker. Now a lot's changed about this game since its release. There's always been different methods to get FPS and stuff like that. But in today's video, I'm going to be showing you the most efficient way to boost your FPS right now. And since we're trying to increase FPS, there are some things that we have to realize and take into reality. Do you have a good PC? Do you have a bad PC? If you have a bad PC, these settings will help you, but it only can help you to a certain limit. And if you have a good PC, this is only going to help you. There's also other things like, do you play on a MacBook? Do you play on a Chromebook? Do you play on a PC? Those are all things you have to take into account when we are doing these specific methods. Now, I wanted to do a top 5, but the way this list goes is kind of weird because like the first thing we do is like the most important thing we do, and if it was a top 5, it'd be weird to put that at the end. I don't know. But before we get into the video, I want to give a huge thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Raid Shadow Legends is a free-to-play RPG available on PC, mobile, and is cross-platform as well. With trillions of ways to build your team's crazy depth and endless strategies to figure out, you'll never run out of stuff to do. Make sure to use my links below to download Raid yourself to your PC or mobile device while I tell you more about the game. I know it's Christmas, but can we get back to the game? With tons of stuff to do in this game, like the campaign, PvP, and much more, I tend to always gravitate towards the dungeons. There's 3 rounds, first 2 rounds being a 5v5, and the last round being the boss fight. And the dungeon boss is quite challenging and strategic. It's so satisfying to take out a dungeon boss at the end of each dungeon. With 10 plus dungeons and numerous difficulties, there's a ton to explore. From the Arcane Keep to Dragon's Lair and Fire Knight's Castle, it's personally my favorite way to level up and get loot. And this month, Raid got their biggest update ever out now. And the main event is already here, the Doom Tower. It's a giant tower with 120 floors, a bunch of secret challenge rooms, and 12 seriously insane bosses to take on. There's really never been a better time to start playing. And to help everyone get started in the tower, the Raid team's giving away a super special champion, Bulwark. He's absolutely awesome in clan boss, and he's also going to be a huge help in the tower against the bosses. I've been waiting for this update for a very long time, and I just can't wait to dive in. On top of that, they're releasing 14 amazing new champions just in time for the holidays, along with a whole host of holiday events and tournaments. If you want to get a huge head start in Raid, all you have to do is hit the link in the description and you'll get your free Void Champion, an XP boost, 50 gems, some energy refills, and even an ancient shard as soon as you get in game. Look at this cool champion you'll get for absolutely free. Bulwark is a beast. You'll find your extra rewards in your inbox for the next 30 days only. So make sure you go check it out and do not miss out on these awesome offers. If you guys want to play with me in game, my in-game name is Sorable! And it's that easy. Just click the link in the description and I'll see you guys in game. Guys, Raid's been one of my most consistent sponsors on the channel, and they truly really help the channel out a lot, and it's a great game, so you guys should go try it out for yourself. If you guys would like to go play it, links in the description and also in the pinned comment. Once again, thank you Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. And without further ado, let's show you 5 ways to increase your FPS in Krunker.io. So one of the most important things we should talk about is uncapping your frames or making your frames unlimited on client and browser. Now on client, this is very easy. Any client should be like this. You go to your settings and under general, if you scroll down under client, you'll see unlimited FPS. Now as you do see, it does have an asterisk, which means it does require a restart, but once you turn that on, you'll be set. Browser is a little bit different and more complex. Now I have made a video about this on Brave if you guys just want to go check that out, or if you want to watch it here, that is fine as well. But pretty much what we're going to be doing is going into the web browser's code and just inserting a little bit of code. Sounds complex, but it's really easy, I promise you. And like I just said, I have a video over this on Brave, so Brave is already uncapped frames. And in the description below, I'm going to have 2 specific codes. One's going to be just for unlimited frames on browser, and the other will just pretty much turn your browser into a Krunker client. And what I mean by that is it'll just load up Krunker immediately each time you open up the browser. So once you figure out which code you want to use, just go to your home page, go to your taskbar, anywhere you see your web browser. I'm going to be using this specific example on Google Chrome since it's probably the most popular way to play Krunker. I'm going to be doing this from the taskbar, but it's the same over here. So what we're going to want to do is right click Google Chrome and right click Google Chrome again. Once we do that, you will see properties pop up. Click on properties, and then you will see this thing right here. It's called the target, pretty much just where the app is. It's going to say Google Chrome application chrome.exe quotation mark. All you're going to want to do is press space and paste the code that is in the description into the target. So once we pasted that in by pressing Ctrl V on our keyboard, or by just normally pasting, we press apply and then OK. And now when I open my Google Chrome up, we should have unlimited frames. So once we open Google Chrome, it will show a new thing in the taskbar. It's going to look like Krunker, but I will assure you this is Google Chrome. I can prove that by going to shop and then marketplace, and it'll pop up in Google Chrome like this. And as you guys can see, our FPS is absolutely skyrocketing. And that is one of the most important things you can do to increase your FPS, because if you're just playing on browser, your browser will be capped your refresh rate, which is typically 60 FPS, and client is also capped at 60 FPS or whatever your refresh rate is as well. So make sure you turn on unlimited frames and make sure you do the browser method I just showed you in order to get the most amount of frames. And once again, you can do this on client and you can also do this on browser, but they're two very different methods. If you guys want to download the Krunker client, I will have a download link for that description. And same with Brave if you guys also want to use Brave, but Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, or literally anything else is perfectly fine as well. The difference between client and web browser is client is just its own app and it runs on the computer like that. And the reason why people play on web browser mostly is because it's very optimized typically for your system, and they're just a lot easier to run on computers compared to a whole client. And like I said, that is one of the most important things you can do of this whole video. But if you're still not happy with your frames, I'm going to show you a few more tips to hopefully get those frames up. So the second thing you could do to increase your FPS is very simple, but just minimize what you have open on your computer. Like if you're watching 16 streams for Krunker drops, and if you also have 5 different Krunker videos up, and you're also playing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War on the same system, and you're wondering why you're only getting 100 frames, it's because you have so much going on your computer that your computer cannot process this game. Krunker is a very CPU heavy game. Typically games go off graphics cards, and this one does as well, but it mainly pushes off of the CPU. So make sure your guys' CPU isn't being overworked. If you have 30 tabs of Google Chrome open while you're trying to play Krunker, make sure you close out of most of them, especially if you're not using them. Or if you have anything up on your computer that you don't need, make sure you close out of it, because each thing you have open on your computer does take up processing space from the computer, which thus gives you less frames in Krunker. So that second thing you do is very simple, but I think a lot of people really overlook it. Computers do have limits, and if you're just pushing it too much, yes, your frames are going to go down. Okay, so the third thing is probably the second most important thing you can do on this list, and it has to do with settings. More specifically, the render settings. Now I want you guys to look at my frames and remember that. Running about 500-ish frames on Berg right now, but I'm going to show you a ton of settings that you can turn down, and it's not going to affect your game that much. That's going to increase your FPS. So first thing off, under performance, we see resolution. If we turn the resolution down to 0.1, our frames are going to go up. As you can see, we're running like almost 700 frames right now, but also as you can see, the game looks like garbage. And I typically play on a 2 res just because it's so clean, it looks so smooth. Even just flat out one looks very clean and smooth. And I'm still getting 650 FPS. But if your computer is still struggling with this, you can go down to like a solid 0.5 without it start looking bad. And 0.5 is perfectly fine. We're getting closer and closer to that 700 frame spot, even jumping up there sometimes. So make sure you turn down your resolution if need be. And it's really not that important. The game really looks pretty normal up until about 0.5 and down. Scrolling down, we see a few settings that are going to help us out a lot. First off, we have low spec, and this is just for low spec PCs, which means your hardware is just not great. But this is always perfectly fine to turn on for your own system, even if you just want more frames. Here's another setting that is super duper important. This is called map details. And the only thing this does is add like grass on the maps and water on Little Town. And it looks very nice, but I promise you, if you turn this off, you will never notice it's gone. And it does have the red asterisk, which means it does require a restart. So let's go ahead and turn this off, and when we're done messing with all of the settings, we'll restart the game and see what our frames look like then. Here's another thing that you're really not going to notice, and it's called particles. I believe particles are kind of just like the dust that comes off the ground when people are slide hopping, or stuff with your guns when you're shooting your guns. I'm not sure that you're going to see the bullets coming out and stuff like that. So if you turn off particles, it will save you some frames. It's not going to be a huge difference, but if you're really crunching on frames, please turn this off. I'm saying a bunch of fancy words, and I'm not quite really sure what they mean either, but I promise you, I know what I'm doing. And we're also getting, you know, a consistent 1300 frames. So, yeah, this is most definitely working. But one thing that Krunker does that I will warn you guys is, if you get too high of frame rate, it does mess up your game and make your game stutter really badly. So keep that in mind. But as you guys can see by my frame rate, this is already working. Let's move on to shadows. Shadows are just literally shadows. That's what this is. This is a shadow. And truth be told, we really don't need them in Krunker. It does make the game look really nice though. And that's really what these settings are. You're sacrificing graphics for more frames, which equals more performance, which could improve your gameplay. So you really have to ask yourself, do I want my game to look really nice, or do I want my game to look pretty good and have better performance? So once we turn off shadows, as you guys can see, that shadow is disappearing and reappearing in the background. Soft shadows, high-res shadows, and dynamic shadows, and ambient shading all look very nice. They make the game look super duper nice. Like I said, the shadows look beautiful, but it's just not needed for this game. So make sure you go to render, look through these settings, turn down what you have to, keep on what you want to, and stuff like that, and just pretty much personalize it to yourself. Like, I have a very nice computer, so I can have these as high as I want, but let's just say you're playing on a lower end PC, you could turn these down and still have a very nice looking game. And then finally, we have lighting, which also does require a restart. And I play on normal, but I'm pretty sure low would help you get more frames. Do not quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how that works. So we're gonna keep it like that. And that is pretty much everything for the graphical settings. Turning down these settings and turning them on and stuff like that will help you in this game. Now, the fourth thing you can do to increase your FPS is one of the oldest tricks in the book, quite literally, and that is FPS mods. Now, FPS mods were very, very popular, especially a year ago when the game wasn't as optimized and had certain settings that you can turn off. There's one setting I forgot to mention, and that is no textures. As you can see, it's off because I have textures, and the walls have textures and stuff like that, and that does take up processing. So if we go ahead and turn on no textures, once we restart the game in a little bit, you guys will see it'll be very, very smooth. And what I'm talking about is the walls. They'll be very bland and does not look great. They pretty much made the smooth mod texture in the game. And as you guys can see, when I load into the game, I am getting almost 1500 frames. And it's because we did turn off a lot of settings and then turn on a lot of settings. Low spec, by the way, does remove the feats on characters, but they still have their feet, if that makes sense. Like, the hitbox is still there, it just takes away the feet. So as you guys can see, this is what no textures looks like. It is quite ugly, and that's where I believe FPS mods still come in handy. Even though we pretty much have the mod built into the settings at this point, as you guys can see, this isn't very nice to look at. So if we look at Crucial's FPS mod, or if you just look up FPS mod or smooth or anything like that inside of the mods. So when we go and load this up, as you guys can see, it smooths out the textures, but it doesn't make the game look absolutely terrible. And there is other mods that you can also just look around for that changes the color of the walls and just certain things about the game. But like I said, you could just go in here, type in FPS. There's a bunch of FPS mods. Try them out for yourself, find one that you like and stick with it. And then the fifth and final thing that you can do to increase your FPS is a little bit more technical and internal. What you're going to want to do is open up your task. Now you can go into your search bar and type it up, or you can just find it inside of your computer. But once you have it up, if it's Krunker, Google Chrome, Brave, Microsoft Edge, anything, you're going to have to open this by the little arrow over here. And obviously there's a lot of different things running inside of Google Chrome, but we're going to try to find the real thing, probably the one that is taking up the most processing, which is probably this one. But just saying, with the Krunker client, that's a lot easier to find because I believe it'll just say Krunker and the other ones will say official Krunker client. So once you find the real one, you're going to want to right click, scroll down, you're going to see go to details. You go to details, it'll be highlighted right here. You're going to right click that, go to set priority and set it to high. And it's going to say, do you want to change the priority of Chrome.exe? Changing priority of certain processes could cause system instability. So be careful what you do this to, but at least to my knowledge, doing this to the official Krunker client and to Google Chrome and other browsers will not ruin your PC. And pretty much what this does is just makes the priority of running your Krunker way higher than everything else. And like I said, this is a very CPU heavy game. So if it has more processing, it'll run a lot better. So let's change priority, and you probably won't see an immediate change, but like I said, I'm also on a very good computer, so it's kind of hard for me to get more and more FPS. But if you followed everything in this video, you should be getting a lot more FPS than you were before. But those are 5 easy ways to increase your FPS in Krunker.io. It's weird to me. I still get hundreds of thousands of comments every single day saying, how do I get more FPS? Why do you have so much FPS? And etc. But the weirdest thing about this, in my opinion, is they have done so much to this game to optimize the game to pretty much disconnect FPS from in-game physics. Back in the day, you could not play on 300 FPS in slide hop normally. As you can see, I'm getting like 1300 frames, which is absolutely insane. But if I just go to my frame cap and cap it at 60, I'm only getting 60 FPS now. The game doesn't look as nice, but I'm still slide hopping accordingly. Back in my day, 300 FPS, you just keep on sliding. You wouldn't catch as well. So frames aren't really that important anymore, because like I said, the physics are not tied to FPS anymore. It's perfectly fine nowadays. So if you're running on a Chromebook and you have 60 frames, just a consistent 60 frames, or a MacBook or anything like that, or even a computer, you're running 60 frames, your game's perfectly fine. But yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I know it's a lot different of a video, but like I said, I was getting asked numerous times today, how do I get so much FPS? How do I get more FPS? And this is the video explaining so. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you guys drop a like, a comment, and also subscribe to the channel for more Krunker content like this. I upload Krunker all the time, so if you guys like Krunker and Krunker content alike, make sure you guys subscribe and turn on post notifications and never miss a Krunker video from your boy. And once again, huge shout out to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. Without their endless support on the channel, I'm not sure where I'd be. Go play their game, like I said, it's in the description or the pinned comment, and you're going to get a ton of rewards once you log on. And I think that about does it for the top 5 ways to boost your FPS. Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and as always, it's been your boy, CJ Or Sorable. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.